Yeah, and Kier, you know, I don't want to make you be the psychoanalyst of American culture here from London, but I wonder, I mean, there is something about American politics that gets fused with religion. It becomes a religion, particularly on the Republican side. It has been completely fused with a certain kind of evangelical Christianity. Whereas in Britain, that religiosity is even connected to the Queen. It's not connected to the parties. But Brexit was the closest I've seen Britain come to something like what American politics looks like. It was ugly. It was racist. It was anti-immigrant. It had like a lot of the elements of Bannonism and Trumpism. Why do you suppose that in Britain that did not result in a kind of insurrectionist thinking and insurrectionist action there, that it's destroyed the political culture here?
Well, I mean, one of the things to remember, I think, about Brexit is that it was swiftly followed by COVID and then, of course, the war in Ukraine. So the trouble is that economically speaking, the impact is clouded. It's hard to tell. There are, for example, I have the experience of trying to get some medicine, for example, for my kids and not being able to get it and thinking that I think that's Brexit. But I'm not sure, is it Ukraine? So I do think that the verdict on Boris Johnson will be made by the historians. Listen, he's been in power for less than 3 years, but he has been incredibly influential as a politician. And in some ways, in the same way as President Trump, there are many, many differences, but he has been the kind of politician who seemed to be able to kind of walk on water, to defy political gravity and to do things that no other politician could. I do think there is a culture here in the UK of ruthlessness in politics, a lack of respect, which in a way has some benefits. There was an old left-wing politician called Tony Benn here many years ago who used to say, the first thing I want to know about a politician is how do I get them out? And if Boris Johnson has to go here, you will see the removal trucks outside this door very, very fast. There is a debate tonight about whether he will even make it to the fall, as he says that he wants to by the time a new leader is elected. I should just say one thing: we just should be careful comparing systems, because circumstances change, systems creak in different circumstances, and we've certainly seen the British democratic system struggle, particularly when there's not a clear majority in Parliament. That's an issue with the parliamentary system. Joy, in France, they've got Macron as a president, who is now, there's a political paralysis because that parliament has gone the other way. So every system has its challenges and also its strengths.
And every system has its Trump, because they've got Marine Le Pen in France, who is equivalent to what Trump is doing here. So it's kind of everywhere in Europe. And, you know, Michael, but here we just have a different toxic mix. We have guns aplenty, like guns everywhere. You have armed factions that can easily threaten the republic physically. And then you have this particular power that the administrative state has. I mean, we've got this story about the IRS. You know, it's very hard to imagine that both Mr. Andrew McCabe and Comey both get these super audits, and that's now sparked an investigation. There are ways that you can do retribution from the White House here. We don't know that that's what happened, but that sure is what it looks like, that you really can't do in a lot of other countries. The presidents have a lot of, I guess, power that they can use individually.
Well, that executive authority is primary, and it was one of the big issues with our founders about the checks and balance between that executive authority and the legislative authority overseen by a judiciary. And what we've seen in modern times, certainly post late 20th century and early parts of this century, is a reflective reaction, if you will, to that administrative state, which is what Trump came in talking about, going after it and beating up on it. Reagan sort of mused about it and had some nice quips about it. But when he got to the presidency, pretty much kind of used it the way other presidents had used it. Same with other Republican presidents. But with Trump, it was really about deconstructing that administrative state, which is not something that we've seen in European history, recent history at least. So there, to Kier's point, there's some real big differences that you can't overlap and say, oh, one-for-one comparisons, because what drives us beneath are a constitution and bills of rights and so forth that are driven around abortion and guns and things that are enshrined one day and maybe, as we've just learned, not so much the next day.
Yeah, and kicked under the bus the next day.
And that drives the body politics.
Well, when this all happened and we heard the Boris news this morning, there were two people that I wanted to talk to, and the two of them are sitting right here on either sides of me on the screen, Keir Simmons and Michael Steele. Thank you both for being willing to do it, because you guys are the very people that I wanted to speak with. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. All right, up next.